Good afternoon, everyone. This is Mike O'Malley here with the Hurricane Outlook and discussion for August 22nd, 2022, around 2 p.m. Eastern Time. We have a lot to talk about today, including a new tropical system that could be forming in the main development region over the next several days. What do you need to know about the next storm? Let's go ahead and jump straight into everything. Taking a wide look across the tropical Atlantic this afternoon, we noticed that we have a couple of things ongoing today. First of all, the big story across the United States today is this flooding threat ongoing across portions of Texas and the South. We'll talk about that here later in the video. We also have a tropical disturbance today being tagged as Invest Area 90L. This is a tropical wave that has moved off the coast of Africa during the last several days, got caught up in the monsoon trough, and is now past the Cabo Verde Islands and is now sitting to the west of there, and tropical cyclone formation is possible over the next couple of days. If we look at the 2 p.m. tropical weather outlook from the National Hurricane Center, we notice that the area of disturbance right now, again located to the west of the Cabo Verde Islands, and this system is expected to be making its way westward over the next couple of days and could become a tropical cyclone as it moves generally westward into portions of the western Atlantic. Now, it remains a little bit too early to determine if there will be any impacts to the Windward Islands at this point. But right now, it does seem like that there could be at least some potential for those impacts, especially as we head through portions of next week. But we'll have to kind of keep an eye on that. Look at the visible satellite imagery today. We notice that the system has become a little bit more compact this afternoon. We have an overall broad area of shower and thunderstorm activity this afternoon. And you can really just see the dry, stable air, especially to the north of the system, is trying to become wrapped in and adjusted into our system. That's not really a good look for potential tropical cyclone formation. We notice, though, that we still do have an area of shower and thunderstorm activity that is a little bit more clustered around this area. So it seems like we are getting at least some bundling of that energy, but it's going to have to deal with a lot of obstacles over the next couple of days, and a large part of that is going to be attributed to some of that dry air and going forth in time there. Now, if we look at the GFS forecast, this is the relative humidity in the mid and upper part of the atmosphere. What we can see here is that generally speaking today, again, we can see that all of this dry air indicated by the brown colors here, this is dry, stable air, and this is 90L over here. That's the moisture pocket associated with 90L. And we notice how it's dipping kind of down and trying to wrap into whatever circulation is trying to form down there. And that eventually we can see just how much of a squeeze play it is between the moisture here and the dry, stable air to the north. Now, this isn't the only problem that it's going to face, but we notice that that moist pocket is never able to really establish itself till way later in the run, where we eventually do get a tropical cyclone to form once this is already out of the picture and into portions of the subtropical Atlantic there. So besides just the factor that we have some dry, stable air, we also have some pretty strong upper level winds. Not currently, but what we notice here is that over the next few days, this is valid here by about 2 a.m. Thursday, we have this big tropical upper tropospheric trough that's kind of digging in from the Azore Islands up here, or the Canary Islands rather. And what this is actually doing here is this is going to be pushing a lot of wind shear across our system and not really allowing it to strengthen much at all. And so this will actually be moving into that dry air and also into that shear profile. And it doesn't really have a chance to organize much at all until way later in the run, where there actually does become more favorable upper level wind environments. But overall, the GFS ensembles do kind of paint a nasty picture, at least for a while. But we notice that by the end of this forecast run, this is by about September 4th, we notice that, again, the dry, stable air has kind of lifted, and also that TUT that we were just talking about has also kind of lifted, and we end up with a more favorable environment across most of the deep tropics. We'll see if that remains the case through the next several runs here and as it moves up in time, but overall it looks like that development chances, at least in the near term, will be pretty much shut down. Now, we can take a look at the European real quick as well. And if you look at that 850 millibar wind again, the European doesn't really try to go with too much, but does develop a system perhaps out in the long range near the Turks and Caicos from that original lead wave, And then we'll have another system behind that that we'll have to keep watching, but so far that has not yet been tagged, so we'll kind of reserve those judgments on that potential system for later in time. If we take a quick look here at the ship's intensity forecast, this is the statistical models here, but generally speaking, we notice that most of them call for, at best, a modest tropical storm. Again, really about anywhere from about 30 to about 50 knots we're seeing it here by the end of the 5-day period. So all indications are, at least on the ship's forecast, that this could at least become a brief system. But we notice that the shear here, we can actually see the shear forecast here. It is a little bit high right now, but will decrease really from about the next about 18 through about 60 hours. So this has a window of just about 2.5 days for potential development before the shear really starts to increase again. You can see the tut here, the influence of the tut with about 34 knots of shear. So increasing shear with time certainly is going to lead to some problems. And that dry relative humidity here, we notice, is just not going to be the best. The relative humidity decreases below 60% and remains that way really after about the 48-hour time frame. So it seems like that this is going to have a hard time trying to develop, if anything, over the next couple of days. Now, focusing on the flooding across portions of Texas, we have this very significant rainfall event ongoing across portions of Texas, Arkansas, and Louisiana today. Again, this is the composite radar shot. Over the last couple of hours, we've had some pretty significant weather, even a confirmed tornado over here in to the east of Dallas here. We had a confirmed tornado over there. Some very significant flooding ongoing today. Again, we were kind of talking about that yesterday, how the rainfall could be over about 8 inches in spots, and that certainly is going to be mainly in the eastern part here where all of this rain is still yet to fall. But even the DFW Metroplex has had some very significant flooding. Some of the town or some of the city was underwater. So some very significant severe weather problems and flooding problems ongoing there as well. All right. So that being said, I do hope you have a great rest of your afternoon and evening. Of course, I am Mike O'Malley, and I will be talking to you guys again some more tomorrow.